that inspires me about you is your willingness to speak about the issues that are affecting society. So I was watching your panel discussion on Question Time where you talked about gang violence.
Uh-huh.
And that just blew me away because with so many young Black Britons, you know, even the political landscape is something that more and more young people are becoming concerned about, which is knife crime. And you said that basically need to stop glorifying gang culture. So I just wanted to ask you, how can this be done at like grassroots level? Because there's many parents that are not sure where to start in terms of getting their children to listen to the right music or hang out in the right environments. There are many people that don't know where to start. So what advice would you give with regards to that?
Well, the first thing I would say is that there is a responsibility on people like me who have the public platform to use our voices, not because I think, you know, anybody will do what I say. I don't think stuff works like that. But what I think you can do if you are a public figure is give people who aren't in that lucky situation the courage, the encouragement, the license to speak out in their own circle. I think quite often it feels a bit daring to do the right thing if nobody else is doing the right thing. I think sometimes what public figures can do is just, even if you're in the minority, you know, is just to give the person who wants to do the right thing or say the right thing an excuse to stand out against the crowd. So that's why I, in a way, make the point I make. I mean, to be honest, it is more because I look around where I live in London and I see what's happening to our young people, I mean, young Black people. Yeah. And I think to myself, if I'd been unlucky enough to be born 30 years later or something than I was, that would be me. And would I be alive now? Quite probably not. You know, one of the reasons that I spent a lot of time in the Caribbean is that my parents took me out of school because they wanted to move to the United States, which they did. And they said, actually, we don't want to leave you here in England because we're not happy with the way you're going. And we're not going to take you to America because we see what happens to young Black people in America and we don't want you to grow up there. That's why I went back to the Caribbean, simple and straightforward. My parents were very clear and very wise, I think. So the first thing, I think, is give people an example. Secondly, support families in making the right decision. And then I think the third thing is that we've got to be able to tell our young people there are many ways of being an authentic, stand-up, serious Black person. There's a book by the Harvard academic, Professor Henry Louis Gates, Skip Gates, called 13 Ways of Looking at a Black Man. And there are interviews with well-known Black figures. And, you know, there's nothing dramatic about any of them, but each one of them is different. And I think if we could say one thing to our young people is you don't have to be like that in order to be yourself. You know, being big and bad and all that, it's one way of being a Black man. In my view, it's a particularly stupid way of being a Black man, but it is. But there are other ways. And there are other ways which are better for you, better for your you know, the person you're going to live with, and the children that you hope they're going to bring up one day.
Mm.
And I think if nothing else, maybe one way to do this is to say to our young people, you can be more than the thing that you are seeing on YouTube. I mean, never mind the whole issue of personal safety and protection. I think what's more important is to be able to say to people, there's more to you than following this crowd.
Thank you so much. And just quickly following on from that, especially in recent times, there's been lots of TV shows, lots of TV shows such as Topboy and all of these kind of things that are kind of portraying it. And one argument of some directors and some producers would be they're trying to show the gang culture from both sides. That's their argument. I'm not sure if I entirely agree.
Well, it's rubbish, isn't it? It's rubbish. It's rubbish. If you watch these things,
yeah,
they are they glamorize that life.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And this is a rough thing to say, I'm afraid. Most of these things are made for white people to make them feel a touch of danger. But of course, the difference is when the credits roll, they can go back to Surrey.
Mm-hmm.
When the credits roll, we're walking out in Hackney or Harlesden or Moss Side or Handsworth.
Yeah.
And we're in the real thing. They've had an hour of or 2 hours of excitement and, you know, feeling that they've touched danger, but they've never been in any danger.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are the person who has to walk out of the cinema or walk out of your living room and be in that real situation, it's not fun. It's not a joke. It's not exciting. And this whole argument that they're trying to show something, it's nonsense. It's entertainment for people who don't have to live that life.